All right, we're ready to go. What's going on, everybody? This is Deshaun Raw, and I'm going to be the host for this show. My YouTube channel is Belt to the Bucks. This is my guy, Mark. Mark, go ahead and shout yourself out.
Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm Mark from Marky Picks. I started my own YouTube channel about a month and a half ago, posting free daily sports picks and player props. So if you guys are interested in that, Deshaun will link my stuff down in the description. We also have a new Discord that we just started. Me and Deshaun are going to be in there, posting more free content, free plays for you guys that need free wins. So if you guys are interested in that, the free Discord link will also be in the description below. So go ahead on over to that if you guys are interested in more free wins. So
Yeah, definitely get down in the Discord. No matter what the sport is, NBA, soccer, football, anything like that. Now, you can ask about any game. It's not just the games that we go over. We can predict any of the game stuff that can give you our insight for free. So make sure you definitely go check out the Discord. But without further ado, let's get started. First game up, we got Ohio State versus Penn State. Penn State comes to Ohio. Oh boy, this is going to be a spanking of a lifetime. Ohio State minus 20.5. I don't see how Penn State scores. Ohio State is going to key in on that run game. I mean, the running backs haven't been good anyway, but they're just going to make sure that they don't have an all-star game right here. And like I said, I don't see how Penn State scores in this game. I think this is a 31-3 type game. I think Ohio State covers this pretty much with ease. I don't think we really have to sweat this, honestly. Ohio State's defense has just been that good. Offensively, I just trust them. I trust Sayin. I trust Jeremiah Smith. I trust Carnell Tate. Even though Penn State has talent on that roster, I will give them that. This is the best team they've seen, and they're on the road. No shot. They fired their head coach. They don't have Drew Aller. This is a beatdown.
So I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant here because I am a Penn State fan. Those of you that know that on my channel that are over here for the first time, you guys already know that. I'm a big Penn State fan. But if you look at every Penn State game so far this season, in the losses specifically, they've all lost by 1 point, except for the 5-point loss to UCLA. So it's not like they're getting destroyed in every single game. They lost that 6-point game in double overtime to Oregon, but they've been in every single game, just really been in it. So this is a spot where 20.5 points. I understand, Penn State lost their quarterback. How are they going to score points? That's the question. But they still have two very good running backs, although they haven't been performing so far this year. I expect Ohio State to, stop them a little bit, but I expect Grunkemeyer, the backup quarterback, to look a little bit cleaner in this game. He played against Iowa last week, first time starting at night. Definitely a very tough environment for your first career start, and I thought he handled it pretty well for the situation he was given. He did look a little flustered at times, but I expect that to be a little bit cleaned up. They're also coming off a bye week as well, so they should be really rested and ready to go for this game. 20.5 points just seems like a lot for this kind of game. Again, Penn State and Ohio State, they always have close games. They never get blown up by 20 points ever. So I expect this to be a situation where Penn State travels well. And again, the talent's there on both sides. Just who's going to be motivated to play, and can Penn State score? That's really the question. If Penn State can score one, if they can get the 10 points, I think they cover the spread. Because I do understand Penn State's defense is bad. I know that, especially specifically the rushing defense. I do think the strength is in the secondary, though, which is Ohio State's strength. So you take a strength on strength here. We're going to see who comes out on top. I do like Penn State plus 20.5 here to cover.
I think this would be a good game to maybe take Ohio State rushing prop. And two, what do we know about Penn State? They do not show up in the first half of games. They are a second half team. So if you really don't want to take Ohio State minus 20.5, take Ohio State first half. I mean, since the full game is 20.5, first half has to be what, 12-13? So I think they can cover that with ease. Honestly, I think at the half, Penn State probably only has 3 points. Coming off of last week, I mean, 2 back-to-back tough games at Iowa and then at Ohio State. It's just not good for Penn State football right now. They had their best performance last week I think Ohio State's going to watch film. They're going to know what Penn State wants to do. They're not going to let it happen. They're not going to fall for this. Oh, this game has been close for a bunch of years and stuff like that. It's not happening. They're going to blow the doors off of Penn State. I mean, I just don't see how Ohio State doesn't cover this. Ohio State clears. Next game up, number 22, Houston versus West Virginia. Houston is at home, and they're getting 13.5. West Virginia stinks. Houston's defense is very good. They come to play at home. This is a spot where we love Houston right here. I'd rather play them at home. And West Virginia has not looked good. They're going to travel. They're going to get boxed up. Simple as that. And 13.5 is just too low right here. So I think Houston's defense is going to be the key to this game. They're going to create a lot of short field chances for Connor Wegman. And they're going to take advantage of this. I think this should be more Houston minus 16.5, Houston minus 17. So I will definitely take Houston right here.
Yeah, 100%. I think this is a spot where Houston is like one of the hottest teams in the country right now. Very underrated. And they're playing a West Virginia team right now that is just not playing good football right now. Again, they're under first-year head coach. So really doesn't have a chance to get his recruits in there. He's kind of just taking what he was given. So they're not a really good football team. They don't have a really good quarterback. I don't expect them to score any really points because Houston's defense, once again, is very elite. The Houston team is very, very for real. I don't know if they can have enough to get to the Big 12 championship game, but they are a very good team this year. And 2 touchdowns at home, very solid for this kind of spot.
Definitely agree. Next game up, we got number 12 Notre Dame versus Boston College. This game is in Chestnut Hill, 3:30 Eastern. Notre Dame is getting 28.5. This isn't going to be another quick one right here. Boston College sucks. They are probably the worst team in college football. They've really got their doors blown off by UConn. I had a bet on them. Boston College is officially on the do not bet list. So that means do not bet them. Take Notre Dame minus 28.5. Take the over. Notre Dame will probably get the over by themselves. This game is probably over at half. So you're not going to have to watch this game for long. And you're not going to have to sweat this game. Notre Dame, no one wants to play them right now. They are on a heater. They are on a warpath. They are blowing the doors off of everyone they play right here. And I don't think they're going to take it lightly with Boston College because Notre Dame has really had trouble with lesser opponents and Group of 5 teams, primarily earlier in the season, but for some reason they just had trouble with them. Not this year. This game is too late in the season. They know what they have to do. Marcus Freeman is going to have his team ready, and they're going to beat the brakes off of Boston College.
Yeah, 100%. Notre Dame is playing really good football right now. They're arguably one of the best teams in football right now, as we take a current form. But they have to win out if they want to make the playoff. If they suffer another loss, they're not going to make the playoff. But in this matchup here against Boston College, 28.5 points is a lot of points, but it is very understandable. Boston College defense is terrible, one of the worst defenses in the country. But one thing Boston College can do very well is score points. They have been scoring points on pretty much everybody they've played. So if you want to take the over in this game, definitely looks like a strong pick. That's probably the personal preference I would pick. But also 28.5 for Notre Dame does seem pretty reasonable, but that is a lot of points on the road. Again, both these teams can score points, so I like the over personally.
Good stuff. Next up, you got number 5 Georgia playing in a neutral site game against Florida in the Jacksonville Jaguars Stadium. Florida's getting 7.5 points. But I said this game is usually close. I mean, I understand why Georgia will be favored by 7.5. Florida fired the head coach. Florida has so much hype coming into the season. They've been very underwhelming. But if you remember last year, if Lagway doesn't get hurt, Florida probably wins the game. And they were leading for majority of the game until he got hurt. I think right here, Lagway will do enough, barring injury. If he gets injured, they're going to get killed. If he can get through 4 quarters of this game, I think Florida has a very, very good chance to cover this. The under is a play. If it gets late and Georgia is up 3, I think Florida is live. I think Florida does just enough to keep it under the number Florida covers here.
Yeah, I think this is one of those spots where Florida at home, at the Swamp, one of the toughest places to play in the country. I do think the fans show up here because this is a big rivalry game. Fans are going to show up for rivalry games. This is one of those big time rivalry in college football. And this is a game where it should be definitely pretty close. 7.5 points. I understand, Florida is, going through some coaching turnover. So, how motivated are they going to come to play? I think they use that as a boost in this game to, come out there and play this game very close. And again, Georgia has been, having some very suspect type of games over this year. I think they're due to slip up in one of these games. Maybe this could be the game. Again, Florida, at the beginning of the year, they're a top 15 type of team. So they have talent on the roster. Can they put it together in this game? I think they come ready to play here, put together a pretty solid performance here. And again, I think this game does stay pretty low scoring. I can easily see this game being like a 13-10 or like a 17-14 type of finish. I do think Georgia does end up winning this game because they always find ways to win close games. So, but again, 7.5 points is a lot of points here with Florida at home.
Yeah, this is one of those typical Kirby Smart, barely squeaks it out games right here. So I think Florida State is definitely a really, really good bet here. Next game up, we got Kansas versus Oklahoma State. Kansas favored by 24.5. This game is at 4 p.m. EST, and it is in Lawrence. Straight and simple, Oklahoma State is a dumpster fire. They're not good. They fired the head coach. They got a wide receiver playing quarterback. Granted, he did play quarterback, I think, early in his college career, maybe in high school, but doesn't matter. I mean, Kansas is going to take them behind the woodshed. Jalon Daniels, all the hype at the beginning of the season, respect, because he's doing everything that he needs to do. I think his dual threat ability is going to come in play right here. I don't think they're going to be able to contain him. I also like over here too. I think Kansas scores a lot of points here. Kansas has really been scoring a lot this year. Oklahoma State's defense is okay. It's not the best, but I mean, it's just how is Oklahoma State going to score? So I mean, Kansas by 1 million here. I mean, I think this is probably the easiest bet here.
Yeah, Kansas minus 24.5. Couldn't agree more. This is a team in Kansas that I really do enjoy watching. They play a good, fun brand of football. They're 4-4 on the year. They've won the games they were supposed to win. They lost the games they were supposed to lose. They're still a very strong team here, and they're playing at home here against a terrible Oklahoma State team. Oklahoma State is I think the worst team in college, if that's possible, because they are a power 4 type of team, but they are just terrible. They don't have anybody that's worth watching on their roster really. They've lost games to Tulsa early in the year, so I mean that says enough. Again, they're like 1-7, so their one win came against an FCS team like UT Martin, I believe. Like who the heck is UT Martin? That's their one win they got. So Kansas minus 24.5 here. Again, Jalon Daniels at cornerback, very good. Again, this is last year in college. I think he comes out here, has one of his, big time performances. I think he can get over 400 passing yards in this game. I haven't checked some of the player props for him yet, but if I had to guess, I would probably be loving his over on this game of passing yards. But minus 24.5, Kansas is going to blow the brakes off of Oklahoma State here.
Yeah, and back to that UT Martin, that game against UT Martin was close. I mean, Oklahoma State hasn't showed me anything. They have showed nothing, even with Gundy, and without him, it's going to be the same old stuff. Kansas by 1 million, simple. Next game up, Florida State versus Wake Forest. 7:30 p.m. EST. Florida State minus 9.5 is the spread. This game is in Tallahassee, night game. Florida State, I think they get back to business here. And I know that's been being said for a couple weeks now. Oh, Florida State's gonna come back to what they were. They're gonna look like how they did in week 1 against Bama. It's bound to happen. They can't look this bad forever. And that's what I think. I think this is one of those spots right here. They're gonna catch Wake Forest, who's on a high. Wake Forest thinks they're good. They think they're in it. Nope. Florida State just reminds them, hey, we're big dogs, you're little dogs. We might be having a bad season right now, but you're not better than us. I think Florida State has the better talent. I think they have the better roster. I think they have the better quarterback. And I trust Castellanos to not make bad decisions. I think Robbie Ashford will throw a couple interceptions this game. And I think Florida State probably wins this game by 14 or more points. So I think this game will be tight in the third quarter, but I think Florida State pulls away.
Yeah, I'm going to go against you here. I like Wake Forest in this one. Getting 9.5 points here in this spot against a Florida State team that's just really just been dead. They're coming off some dramatic losses. I mean, some of their losses they've had are just really tough losses. They lost by 3 to Pitt. They lost like at the end of Virginia, and they lost last week to Stanford in the final, kind of play. So they've had some very gut-wrenching losses. I just think that's got to hurt their morale here. Playing a Wake Forest team that if you want to look at their game scores and every single game they played, they haven't lost a game by like more than 7 points. Only one time. They only lost one game by more than 7 points. That was against NC State. They lost 34-24. But every single other game against good teams, it's like Georgia Tech. They took them down to the wire. And last week against SMU, they beat SMU, who's supposed to be was supposed to be a good team, but they haven't been panning out this year. But they're a team that plays tough with everybody. I understand coming here at night, it's going to be a tough environment for them. But this is a Wake Forest team that is pretty battle tested. I feel like, and I feel like this line at 9.5 is just too high. I do think Florida State can win, but I think there's just a little bit too many points here. I expect this line to be at like -6.5. But getting in close to 10.5, I think that's a little bit too much for this spot.
Yeah, I just think that this is one of those spots where Florida State shows up for their fans. They give their fans a winning product right here. I think they show it, especially since it's a night game as well. Wake Forest does not know what they're walking into. This is going to be the toughest environment that they have played all season. And I don't think Wake Forest is ready for it. Florida State clears. All right, these are 3 games right here that I have that you should seriously be considering taking straight up on the money line. I think these games have a very, very high chance to get an outright upset, period. So first game we're going to start with NC State at home against number 8 Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech favored by 5.5. Georgia Tech has been fiending to lose games. I mean, they've been in so many close games, and honestly, they've gotten really lucky. I mean, they were being outplayed by Duke until Duke fumbled in the red zone, and they took it all the way back for 6. I mean, they probably would have lost the game. I mean, and then they should have lost to Wake Forest. If it wasn't for the refs, they would have lost the game outright. This Georgia Tech team has been playing with their food for a little too long, and I think this spot right here, they're going to do it again. And playing a night game at NC State here, if I can get a semi-decent performance from that NC State defense, I think this game will come down to the final possession. I think NC State will walk it off. They're going to storm the field. I don't think this will hurt Georgia Tech's college football playoff chances here. They are still a very, very good team and could very easily still end up in the ACC championship game. I just think that their luck runs out tonight. So NC State plus 5.5 live. NC State money line. Easy pick for me.
Well, it's gonna be a great game to watch. That's for sure. This game I can easily see possibly going to overtime or like a final field goal kick to win the game. This has one of those type of feels to it. If you look at Georgia Tech so far in their season, all the way back to game 1 when they went out to Colorado, they were down by like 2 touchdowns in that game.
Yep.
They looked terrible. They looked very terrible. But that second half, they came out and like they would look motivated. They looked like a completely different football team. If Georgia Tech plays motivated in this game, I do expect them to come out here and win the game. But considering that this is at NC State's a very tough environment, especially at night. And NC State, they could score points. It's going to come down to their defense here. Can their defense make enough plays to, keep Georgia Tech, from scoring touchdowns? Because I think Georgia Tech's going to move the ball pretty easily. But they might have to settle for field goals. They do have a good field goal kicker, so I do think Georgia Tech will take the field goals if they're given to them. So NC State plus 5.5, it just feels like a lot of points here. I think this game could easily come down to a field goal. So I'm with you on NC State. But I do like Georgia Tech, but I think this is a game that comes down to the wire here. So NC State plus 5.5, strong pick here.
Yeah, it just feels like, Georgia Tech is like the Clemson of like a year or two ago, having to come into NC State and getting upset. It just has that feel to it. I just think that this is one of the spots where Georgia Tech is going to get clipped. Next game up, man, Colorado versus Arizona. Arizona is 4.5-point favorites. I don't understand why Arizona is laying 4.5 on the road. I don't like anything that they've done. I mean, Fafita, his weapons are worse than what he's had. And honestly, having to go to Boulder, where Colorado plays a lot better. Granted, the last time Colorado was in Boulder, they beat Iowa State. And Iowa State was on a high. They looked like one of the best teams in the Big 12. And they beat them outright, just dominated them. I think you're probably not going to get a dominant performance from Colorado in this game right here, but I do think that Arizona laying 4.5 on the road at Colorado is absolutely nuts. I think that's I honestly don't think they should be favored here. I think this should probably be a pick 'em. So I'll take Colorado on the 4.5, and I'll take them outright to win the game.
I got a completely different angle on this one. I am very high on Arizona. I do understand Colorado is a very different team at home, but considering what they did last week against Utah, that was just embarrassing. They let a backup quarterback for starting for Utah, and they were still able to rush for over 450 yards, I believe. Just ridiculous for a college team to do that. And again, Colorado is a much better team at home, so I expect them to play better. But this is an Arizona team that has been playing very strong football. They took BYU to double overtime, and they should have actually won that game. And they also took Houston down to the final play of the game, and they almost would have won that game. So they've really played competitively against good teams. They were at home for both of those games, so I mean, how are they going to travel here in a good environment? But I like Fafita. You always take the experienced quarterbacks in these type of spots. I know he doesn't have wide receivers. He doesn't have Teterola McMillan anymore, who was really just feasting for him last year, one of the top receivers in the country. His weapons are definitely not elite anymore, but I expect him to make some plays. Again, 4.5. I think this is actually a little bit too low for Arizona here. I would take him up to a touchdown. Just seeing how bad Colorado's been. I just like Arizona. I'm really high on Arizona, so that's why I'm taking Arizona here.
Like, I just think that this is one of these games where Colorado just wakes up. I mean, they're going to play for Deion. Deion's going to have that crew ready. And I think they're really going to lock in for this game right here. They don't have too many more chances to make a bowl. So I think getting this win right here will put them on a fast track. Do I think they'll make a bowl? Probably not. But I do think they get the win here. Next up, this is one of the biggest ones ever. Pause. Stanford versus Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has to fly all the way across country to go to Stanford, and Pittsburgh's favored by 14.5. We know what happened the last time a team had to go all the way across country to go play Stanford, which was a common opponent that both of these teams have in Florida State, which both of these teams beat. I think right here, this is a letdown spot for Pittsburgh right here. Pittsburgh is going to underestimate Stanford right here. And Stanford is going to come in this game. They're going to be feisty. And this is going to be one of those games where Stanford just hangs around. Pittsburgh struggles to put them away. And Stanford picks them off late. This just feels like a Stanford spot. 14.5, and you have to fly all the way cross country. No shot. I'm doing that. And this is going to be a late game too. I mean, Pittsburgh, yeah, they're good, but no, Stanford's a different animal at home. Now, I'm not trying to proclaim that Stanford's a good team. They are not. But in these spots and situations right here, I want to take Stanford at home. And I want to fade the team that has to travel that far of a distance. Stanford is absolutely live right here. Stanford plus the 14.5. Stanford money line at the plus 470. Honestly, before kick, this line will probably move. So if you want to wait, you can. I think you'll probably be able to get Stanford near 17 plus 17.
Yeah, so I'm pretty high on Pittsburgh as well. Again, I understand the travel situation. Pitt's gonna fly across country, but Stanford is gonna have to do the same thing because they played it in Florida. So I mean, they're gonna have to travel a lot back and forth as well. So I think it's a situation where Pittsburgh, they made that change at quarterback ever since they got rid of Eli Holstein. They brought in Mason Heitzel, who's looked like one of the best quarterbacks in the country. Over the last couple of games, he's really looked strong. He's a dual threat type of guy. He can run it and he can throw it. And this is a Pitt team that has a lot of weapons on the roster, like Desmond Reed. Really love Desmond Reed. He's a very good running back / wide receiver type of player. I think he's going to feast on Stanford here. My issue with Stanford is their offense, is their scoring ability. Can Stanford score? That's going to be the question. Pitt's defense, they're not great. So I mean, they could definitely score in this game. That's why I'm a little hesitant on taking Pitt minus 14.5. But I do think the way Pitt's been playing over the last few games, they look like the hottest team in the country. I expect Pitt to come out here and continue their hot streak. I don't think the travel is going to affect them. It very much could here. It's a Stanford team that they're going to play defense here if they want to cover this spread, because I don't know if the points are going to be there. I expect Stanford to score maybe 2 touchdowns here, but I expect Pitt, get up to like 30-plus points in this game as well. So I think it's an easy, reasonable outcome for me. So I do like Pitt here minus the points.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, Pittsburgh making that quarterback change is probably the best thing that they could have done. Honestly, Eli Holstein should have been starting from week 1. And honestly, they'd probably be leading in the ACC right now, honestly. So I'm not saying that Pittsburgh's a bad team. I just think that this is a really, really bad spot for a team that's now starting to get talked about a whole lot. Has a lot of hype. Just coming to Stanford, and this is just going to be just a letdown spot for them. I mean, they don't really want to play this game. They really don't. They don't want to go to Stanford and play them. And Stanford's just going to shock them and be like, listen, we're better than what you thought. And Stanford probably wins this game on a walk-off field goal late. And, another team goes down to the hands of them. So I think this is just a perfect spot and situation right here for Stanford to get the outright win and definitely cover that 14.5. But that's going to do it for this presentation right here. Thanks for listening in. Make sure you guys definitely go and join the Discord. These games that we went over are games that I am betting personally. So I will have money on all these games. I will be watching all of these games. And usually what I like to do is pick a couple games to the 12 o'clock window, then go to the 3:30, 4 o'clock, and then 6:40 to 7:30. So then I'm not all over the place. I like to keep it consistent time frame for these games. So if you have any other questions on another game that maybe we didn't cover, just drop it down in the Discord. Me or Mark will get to you as soon as possible. And that also goes for any other sports as well: soccer, NBA player props, NFL. I know college basketball is right around the corner, so that as well. Just get down into Discord and just let it rip, honestly. But thanks again, Mark, for joining me on my first video right here, on my channel right here. I appreciate it. You can get all Mark's stuff. I'm gonna drop it down in the description for you guys right there for you to click and get all his picks right there. He's really been killing on the player props.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on, Deshaun. I know it's going to be a big time, journey for you. Sports betting here, giving out free picks. We post free wins on a daily basis. I mean, we might not hit every single pick. I mean, it's kind of impossible to hit every single pick. Nobody's doing that. But our goal here is to hit at a profitable hit rate, which is what we've been doing so far, at least on my channel. I know we're gonna keep it going here with Deshaun, and that's just gonna translate over to the Discord. So you guys have to get in that Discord to capitalize on all these free picks that we're gonna be giving y'all. So again, join the Discord. It means nothing else to say. It means you're gonna get free content for both me and Deshaun. Very high edges on all these picks, so you don't want to miss it.
Yeah, and when we're here to give free insight on, of these games and maybe something that you might have missed, but ultimately it is up to you to make the final decision. So always say it's bet responsibly and definitely get down in the Discord. But other than that, this is Belt to the Books, and we out of here.
Peace.